Hello again, and welcome back to the Busch Gardens Experience Part 13. And here, as you can see, is a big, beautiful herd of Scimitar horned oryx. Also known as the burnt marshmallows of the antelope family, this species of oryx is critically endangered and is unfortunately extinct in the wild, making it one of the rarest animals you would probably see here at Busch Gardens. Specialized for deserts, arid plains, and rocky hills, this species of antelope has many physiological adaptations to conserve body water. Its kidneys are very efficient, and it sweats only when its body temperature exceeds to 116 degrees Fahrenheit. Usually this temperature would be way too hot for any other animal to handle in the sunlight, making this antelope one of the hardiest desert species on Earth. Oh, and this individual oryx right here is Lamb Chop. We'll see her more often later on in the experience, because now I must introduce you to the Watusis. These are the Watusis, Sonia, Daisy, and Loretta, this speckled one at the end here. They may look menacing with those giant horns of theirs, but they are actually very friendly and sociable with one another and everybody else around them. So they have no problem living with the Scimitar horned oryx in the same area. This area being the Rhino Rally Section of Busch Gardens, they also don't mind having the safari trucks pass by every so often, so they are truly very docile by nature. Though the only problem is that if they got too close to anyone else, with one slight turn of their heads, they would accidentally knock somebody out. That's why the Oryxs prefer to mosey out of the way for the Watusis, for they have great respect for these magnificent African cows. Did you know that the legend of the unicorn could have possibly came from a species of oryx like this one? It is because whenever they turn their heads, their horns seem to merge together into one, creating the illusion of a single horned animal. So here within the oryx herd, the unicorns appear to reappear and disappear every few seconds. Let's see if we can spot one. And there it is. The unicorn, a living, breathing legend that lives among the Oryxs here at Busch Gardens. And as soon as it appears, it is gone. A little while after releasing the Oryxs into their habitat, we then head down near Jungala, past the train tracks to a special introduction enclosure where we meet a small herd of Giant Sable Antelopes. They were brought here to Busch Gardens about a couple of months ago, and they are scheduled to be shifted to the main Serengeti Plain eventually. So right now they're in this special enclosure just to get used to the new area. Now, the one thing you should know about giant sable antelopes is that they are one of the most aggressive antelope species out there. Well, particularly in the males, they are more territorial than the females. In the wild, dominant males would usually keep hordes of females to themselves in special mating territories, and become extremely aggressive to any other male that challenges him to take his females. So if you're ever on a safari in Africa and you come across a male giant sable antelope, you better hightail it out of there. You call this hightailing? Well, anyway, we stopped by the Aldabra tortoises once again to feed the smaller females.
And now this girl here, she's trained to open her mouth when you scratch her chin. So if you rub on the bottom of her chin, she knows you're gonna give her some food. So whenever she opens her mouth, you can put some food in there.
This particular individual tortoise right here is Pretty Face. She has a really pretty face, doesn't she? She can't seem to decide which carrot she wants first. But she actually prefers hibiscus flowers over carrots any day, probably because they are a lot softer and easier to chew up. Wow, she really downed that flower. Carrots, on the other hand, are kind of a challenge for the tortoises, for it takes some effort to break off a single piece. But they are still delicious and nutritious for their everyday diets. After all, carrots are good for your eyes and are, well, sweet in their own way. And of course, sometimes they'll try to bite off more they can actually chew, or even bite off for that matter. It's easy to see why they like flowers more. After feeding the tortoises, we then all head to Timbuktu, for some reason. Since this is the only shot of Timbuktu, well, heading into Timbuktu that I filmed this day. I'm pretty sure we went there for some reason, but all I took was another picture of the tower itself, and did not film anything for the next 7 hours. 7 hours later, after the third kinetic show has ended, all the campers and counselors gather around the performers to take a picture with them. This was all that I filmed that night. And well, yeah, this is pretty much it. Just everyone gathering around for the photo, and that's the end of the third week. It just cuts off right here. But that's not totally the end. I would never let any part of this series end on an anticlimactic note. Now, do you remember way back in part 10 when those counselors were performing that amazing show and that scene with the marabou storks? Well, one thing was supposed to be in between those, but it never happened. Due to inclement weather on the first day of the third week, we were unable to do the Twilight Safari, and that's why you never see it happen in part 10. And so the situation is that campers who came in this week never got to see the giraffes or other animals of the Serengeti Plain up close yet. And others who signed up to stay here for 1 week only are going to be leaving very soon. And so the counselors had to think fast. What could they do to ensure that these campers had the best time of their lives for the 1 week that they were here at the best place on Earth? Well, with a little bit of conversation with the keepers themselves, they came up with something that hadn't been done yet. A morning safari.
Sundele to Zema, Mbambele to Zema, Mbambele to Zema, Mbambele to Zema, Kategele to Zema, Mbambele to Zema, Sundele to Zema. Yemma, yemma.
Zebras are very, they really are just voices. Just different flavor. I think they're lovely. They're in the same genus, so they're closely related to interbreed.
Okay.